We are back on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio, News Talk, 1180, 1230, KGEO, 1410 KERI, and now in Albuquerque, New Mexico on 1000 KKIM. Hey, Clay, what did you think of John Bolden?
You know, I was really impressed with Mr. Bolton. I have been for a long time. It was nice to have him on the show.
Yeah, I'd like to vote for him for president.
He said he's coming back on the show in about 6 months.
Yeah, isn't that great? Hey, you know, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have KT McFarland on. She's the National Security Advisor under the Bush administration. And then the week after that, we've got Phyllis Schlafly, who I think is the most influential conservative woman of the last half century.
She's going to talk about Common Core.
Common Core, and she'll talk about, she defeated the ERA almost single-handedly in the 1980s and 70s. But anyway, speaking of the good people, we've got one of the really good ones here on the phone with us in the second half, our own Assemblywoman, Shannon Grove. Shannon, welcome to Taking Care of Business.
Thanks, guys. How are you doing?
Great, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I mean, you're just one of those people up there that is constantly fighting the good fight.
Well, we can't give up the fight. Even though we're in the super minority, we still have to fight. We can't just roll over.
You know, I understand that just yesterday or today they worked on the budget. What's going on with the budget up there?
Yeah, the Assembly Democrats passed the Assembly budget. There's a Senate budget and an Assembly budget. The Assembly Democrats passed theirs. And, of course, the Republicans voted no on it because even though they got $15 billion in newly scored revenues for Proposition 30 and with the additional taxes that come in for the year-end taxes, the Assembly budget proposals, they put new property taxes on insurance, on policyholders. They increased tax for labor and workforce safety enforcement. They increased the fee on oil refineries. They increased tax care management, MCO plans. They increased, roughly of all these utility ratepayer taxes, everybody who pays a PG&E bill, their bills are going up. It increased at about $1 billion a year.
And are they still going to run in the red?
They're not running in the red. They're just spending all the money that's coming in that they estimate. They estimate an additional over $2 billion more than what the governor has estimated will come in. But the bottom line is that a lot of that is because of capital gains tax, because the federal government has changed its tax structure. So many people filed taxes on, everything last year versus this year because it's going to be more expensive to file this year because of the federal changes in the tax structure. So they're thinking, the Democrats in this building are thinking that money is going to continue to come in every year, and it won't. Capital gains tax will drop drastically. And they're spending it. Welfare got about $1.5 billion. It's interesting that Prop 30 money was supposed to go to education, and the first thing on a trigger cut or cuts if money drops is education. But welfare funding got about $1 billion. They eliminated the vehicle asset, meaning you can drive a Lexus and be on welfare. They gave what they call 12% grant increases, but all that is a welfare paycheck increase by 12%. What public sector job got a 12% increase last year? You know what,
Shannon? Actually, the rich need to pay their fair share. And how are we going to pay for all these great programs if we don't increase the taxes on everyone?
Any second now, Shannon.
Why is he your radio show partner?
I don't know. Any second now, Shannon, the ceiling's going to open up, there'll be a lightning bolt, and Clay will be gone.
Actually, they also, when you look at the majority budget, also allows the UC and the CSU system to hike tuitions on their students. Proposition 30 money was to go to education, and so the Republicans had to introduce a bill to freeze tuition for as long as Proposition 30 was in play. And the Democrats killed that bill so students couldn't get the protections that we were trying to offer. And then they also, in the budget, allowed the CSU and the UC system to increase tuition for their budget shortfalls.
Shannon, they increased the amount of money for Medicare, as an example, but at the same time they reduced physician payments by 10%, which means there are going to be less physicians taking Medicare patients. What's the sense of all of this?
It's outrageous. They are reducing the cost payments to physicians. Again, their thinking is that physicians are one of the wealthiest people in, our state. And again, their fair share, argument, and they're reducing it. But for instance, there's ambulance companies and the Medicare reimbursements are like 14 cents on the dollar, 18 cents on the dollar. And it's just outrageous that, people are having to provide services for this. You're not going to have medical providers are not going to continue to provide Medicare services if this continues.
We're having a conversation with Assemblywoman Shannon Grove. Shannon, it's insane with the physicians, I mean, even look here in Kern County, if you're looking at a specialist, like an endocrinologist or somebody like that, there are less and less of them because it's not worth their while to stay in business. They're just retiring or moving out of the area, mostly just retiring because there's no incentive for them to stay in business.
You're absolutely right when you think about our specialty providers and even our general practitioners. The reimbursement rate from the federal and the state government is continuing to reduce, but their cost of doing business in the state because of malpractice and all these other lawsuits that they have to defend themselves again or pay high dollar values worth of insurance to defend themselves, it just isn't worth staying in business. And when you implement Obamacare and you have all these other plans that are coming into play, I think it's going to be a lot easier for employers and everybody to go, just go to the exchange because it's too difficult. And then we'll be looking at government-run health care on a unilateral version.
Well, the Covered California, which is a new exchange, has actually 1 year to become profitable. And if they're not profitable, then they'll probably try to move to a single payer.
That's probably true. Another thing on the budget that they had is that, like ARB, the California Air Resources Board, and the High Speed Rail Authority, both unaccountable, unelected, highly paid individuals, and they just want what they call budget flexibility, which is code for spending without accountability. Both of them, the Assembly Democrats gave them in the budget additional funds and budget flexibility, which basically, like I said, is just code word for spending without accountability. And it's really, really sad that, we're continuing to fund about $67 million out of this budget of gas taxes are going to go to high-speed rail. And it's unfathomable what these people are doing. You look at the education where I said Prop 30 monies were supposed to go. You got $2.4 billion overestimated from what the governor said, extra money coming in, but yet none of that $2.4 billion goes to education.
Have they done anything with Proposition 13 regarding the businesses?
They are trying to do a split roll tax, and they're trying to reduce, give the local authorities the ability to reduce the tax to 55% instead of 2/3. And they're also to pass taxes at 55% instead of 2/3. And then they're also trying to split the roll, meaning businesses like shopping malls and shopping centers and businesses where they're trying to say we're not supposed to be included in Proposition 13 for tax protections, just only homeowners. But it defeats the purpose. If an apartment business owner, as an apartment owner, gets his taxes raised because he's not part of Proposition 13, that tax increase is going to be passed on to those individuals that pay rent at those apartments. And so then the Democrats are hurting the people they very profess to support. And then the D.C. centers, the federal government pulled these developmental centers. A little background on them is, years and years ago in 1888 forward, when you had a child with a developmental disability, you would ship them off to these DCs, or these developmental centers. And there's 4 large youth facilities, Sonoma, Latterman, and Fairview, and then one other that the state still supports. And there's 1,500 individuals in these facilities. And I'm not talking about Porterville where the criminally committed are. But there's 1,500 people in these facilities, and there's 267,000 people mirrored just like them in the community. And the federal government pulled $7 million and decertified the Sonoma facility because of all of its abuses, rapes, sexual allegations of rape, sexual assault, genital laceration, a death, a broken neck, choking on razor-sharp objects with a quadriplegic who can't even move his hands and feet. It's just all these horrific incidences took place with these people in the Sonoma Developmental Center. So I demand a closure, and the federal government defunded their $7 million and decertified them. What does the Assembly Democrats do? They triple down, give that D.C. Center $23 million additional funds, $7 million to make up for the federal money that was taken, and additional $14 million for other things. And the secretary themselves came and testified before a hearing saying the money wouldn't help make things safer.
When we come back from the break, Shannon, I'd like to talk a little more about that developmental center. Clay and I were at a meeting last Friday at Trout's. You were there and you were talking about it, and I can't believe how much money they're spending on it versus the amount of people they have there. It's
half $500 million
Yeah.
spent on these centers for 1,500 people.
Yeah, that's insane.
$491,000 a bed.
That's what it came out to, right? $491,000 a bed. That's insane.
I want two.
Yeah, I want to reserve two for me, would you? We'll be back in a second with Shannon Grove on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio News Talk 1180.